Hey guys, thanks for watching another Jags podcast. We're doing a quick little grade of the draft picks that the Jaguars had in 2020. We hope you enjoy it. We hope that you'll follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel and check out all of our video breakdowns that we've done thus far. All right, we're going to jump right into it. For the first round pick, the Jaguars selected 9 overall, C.J. Henderson, corner from Florida. And I'm going to give that pick an A-. And the reason why I think this gets an A- is because I think this is actually a really good pick. It might have caught some people off guard that we didn't go receiver here or we didn't trade up with the multitude of picks that we had. But here's why I like him. He stays on the hip of the wide receiver. We have a huge need at defensive back. I mean, we have almost no corners that are at starter quality until we drafted C.J. Henderson. He plays the slant really, really well. I love defensive backs that are aggressive enough and can drive out of their back pedal to defend the slant really well, and I like it. He's got really good footwork in the press position. He can combine his hands and his feet to get out of press and to press pretty much any receiver. He's got great size. At 6'1", over 200 pounds, he has the size to defend red zone threats, but he also has the speed to defend vertical threats. So, I mean, that's a cornerback one right there. When the ball's in the air, he finds it very, very quick. He's got good ball skills, good natural ability when the ball is in the air. He plays that back shoulder route as good as any defensive back. I would argue even better than Jeff Okudah, who was drafted number 3 to the Lions. And C.J. Henderson, if you can defend that back shoulder, that will take you very, very far in the NFL. And finally, he, I believe, is elite at reading the receiver's eyes. So when he's playing the hands and playing in man and he's turned to the guy's hip, he's able to read the eyes, play through the hands, and make a good defensive play without passing interference. So number 1 overall pick for the Jags, I'm going to give them an A-. For the Jaguars' second pick in the first round, at number 20, they drafted Collin Chaisson, linebacker edge player from LSU. And I'm going to give this grade a solid A. Now, look, a lot of people are going to accuse me of being sunshine and rainbows, but in reality, I love what the Jaguars did here in the first round. What you have to understand is Chaisson is a very, very young player with a very, very high ceiling. Very, very fast, very, very strong, does the things that you want to see out of an edge rusher. Reminds me a lot of Josh Allen. But what this pick tells me more than anything is that Dave Caldwell went into this draft with an idea that he wanted to retool and reshape the defense. After the 2017 team, he is now making it something completely different, something more of a hybrid, more of an odd man front where the ends are lined up in the 9 technique and they can really get after the pass. And I really think I like this. This is the way the NFL is moving. You have to be able to play with speed. And Chaisson, I think, is a guy that's going to be a very, very good player in the NFL. And now, all of a sudden, this Jaguars defense has gone from very vanilla to very, very fast and very, very dangerous. If you'll indulge me with the hypothetical of a 3-4 defense with an odd man front, your 4 linebackers potentially could be Josh Allen, Myles Jack, Joe Schobert, and Collin Chaisson. That is a nasty, nasty 4 guys that are roaming the field, stopping the run, and getting after the passer. So, A, I like what we did in the first round. I'm liking it. Let's keep it going. The Jaguars' third pick came in the second round at pick number 42 when they drafted Laviska Shenault Jr., the wide receiver out of Colorado. And I give this draft grade a B. Now, look, a lot of people are big on Laviska Shenault Jr., and for me, I just got to say I'm not one of those people that's huge on the pick. I think there was a lot of value at wide receiver that you could have gotten at this pick. And I understand that Shenault is a high-risk, high-reward player. Very explosive with the ball in his hand. Very, very good talent. Very athletic player. Had scholarship offers to all sorts of colleges. Chose Colorado. But here's my issue is he's got injury concerns. And the Jaguars are a team that takes risks on players with injury concerns a lot, and sometimes it pans out, and sometimes it doesn't. But for me, I feel like if you're really going to try to help Minshew out, you could have given him a little bit more of a solidified weapon. This guy can play X, Y, and Z wide receiver, can line up pretty much anywhere, can take snaps out of the Wildcat. Overall, could help your offense. A very punishing runner, but those injury concerns do kind of worry me. He's had labrum surgeries, he's had core surgeries, he's had toe injuries. He's missed a lot of games, and usually if you miss a lot of games in college, when you step up your level of competition to pros who are hitting harder and running faster, that doesn't usually bode well. But I'm excited to see what he can offer to this Jags offense. Probably the only improvement to the offense that was actually made in this draft. So we'll see. B grade. I'm cautiously optimistic. The Jags' next pick came in round 3 at pick number 73 when they drafted Devon Hamilton, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. And I give this grade a solid B+. look, I like Devon Hamilton. And again, as I was talking about with CJ Henderson and K'Lavon Chaisson, Dave Caldwell is definitely trying to retool this defense and reshape it. And he did this by getting a true nose tackle. It's been a while since we've had a guy that we've planned on lining up in the true nose, meaning shaded on the shoulder of the center. What this allows him to do is it allows him to get pressure from the interior. It allows him to eat up double teams and allows him to stuff that A gap so that the speed linebackers can come in and set the edges and make plays in space. Great pick, very productive. A lot of people had him higher on their boards. PFF had him a pretty high player on their big board, and he just creates havoc. He creates issues in the backfield, and he puts pressure on the quarterback. And best of all, he's probably the best defender in this draft against the run. And I do not say that lightly. B+, great pick. Can't wait to see what he does in this defense. The Jags' next pick came in round 4 at pick 116 when they surprisingly took Ben Bartch, D3 offensive tackle out of St. John's, Minnesota. And I'm giving this grade a C+. And the reason why it's a little bit lower is because I'm never a fan of drafting D3 players. Now, I understand that he went to St. John's as a tight end and he gained a bunch of weight and he's super athletic and he's a project tackle. But what history do we have of Doug Marrone bringing in project tackles? Will Richardson was a huge project tackle, and he's yet to see the field and really play with any meaningful minutes that have really helped to the team. So I don't know if I trust Doug Marrone as an offensive lineman curator of skill or someone that can develop talent. So I'm a little hesitant on this pick. I do like the athleticism that he shows, though. Ran 110-meter hurdles and 4x400 relay in high school. That's what you really like. You like his strength and things like that. Most notably, he's known for eating those crazy smoothies with the Gatorade as the mixer, which is just absolutely disgusting. But we'll see what happens. I'm cautiously pessimistic, I guess, about this pick. Give it a C+. Hope it works out. In round 4 at pick 137, the Jags selected Josiah Scott, cornerback, Michigan State. And I give this grade a B. A lot of people are big on Josiah Scott. They think he's going to be a really good NFL player. He's only 5'9", a little bit of a smaller guy, but could play in the nickel in the NFL, I think, if he wanted to. Got a lot of high grades from scouts. Did a pretty good job locking down KJ Hamler when they played Penn State. And very quick. He has an instinct for the ball. I think he had 32 pass breakups in 30 games, 9 interceptions. He has a nose for the ball. And there's something to be said about players who have a nose for the ball. Think of a guy like Tyrann Mathieu. The guy has a nose for a ball. He's undersized, shouldn't fit on paper in the NFL, but he does. And I think that Josiah Scott has a little bit of that in him. So I'm excited about this pick. In the 4th round, I think this is very good value. This gives you depth to your defensive back room that we've been missing. We're pretty thin at that position. So I think we did a good job here with this pick. Solid B. The Jaguars' next pick in round 4 came at pick 140 when they drafted Shaq Quarterman, linebacker out of the University of Miami. And again, I'm giving another C+ for this grade. This was the pick that we got for the Nick Foles trade. And like I talked about with Caldwell retooling his defense and making it speed and agility, Shaq Quarterman doesn't really fit that mold. He's more of a Joe Schobert guy, but maybe a little less athletic. He is from Jacksonville. That's always good to see a hometown guy come in. I just don't know if he fits what we're trying to do on defense. And hopefully he was brought in to stop the run, but I'm not sure about his coverage ability. He's not afraid to get in there and stick his head into some defenders and some blocks and things like that. C+. I hope he turns out. Not a guy that I just see really fitting on this team. That's speed and agility and flying all over the field. I know you have to have tacklers and people that can read gaps and get into the backfield, but I hope it works out. C+. The first round 5 pick came at pick 157 when they drafted Daniel Thomas, safety out of Auburn. And I'll give this grade a B-. I really like Daniel Thomas, and I really like what he brings. Think Quincy Williams, but went to a big school. I like the way he plays strong. He comes downhill. He will stroke you. He's like a missile firing at the ball carrier. The reason why it's a little bit of a lower grade is because it's kind of a redundant position for what we have on the roster. He's a 5'10" strong safety. We already have Ronnie Harrison. We already have Jared Wilson, guys who are naturally strong safeties. Now, can one of them flip to the free safety role? Possibly that could happen, but Daniel Thomas, definitely more of a guy who will come downhill, play in the box, help out and run support, set the edge, takes good angles, really strong guy. Surprised he fell this late, and a lot of Auburn and SEC and even draft scouts are saying we got a pretty good steal with this guy. He will definitely be one of our better special teams players on our team, and I love it because special teams is just as important as offense and defense if you ask me. Solid B-. Love to see how he turns out. Our second round 5 pick came at 165 when we drafted Collin Johnson, wide receiver out of Texas. And I give this grade an A-. I love this pick. There's a lot of hype coming out of this guy on Twitter and out of the Texas and out of people that really watched football because of his ability to be that red zone threat. Now, if you think about Minshew and what he's had in the past, he's had a lot of speed receivers, a lot of guys that can play underneath and shallow crosses, but he doesn't have a big, tall guy that can jump in the back of the end zone and make a catch. Could Tyler Eifert be that guy? He probably could, but long term, I like what we did here with Collin Johnson. Very strong receiver, very strong hands. A lot of people had him graded pretty high in this draft as far as receivers go. And for us to get him in the 5th round, just goes to show why maybe Dave Caldwell passed on one of those early receivers like Judy and Lamb and guys like that, because he knew he could get some tremendous value in the 5th round. So if you compare him and you couple him with Laviska Shenault, they're totally different types of receivers, but they're both very helpful in what Minshew can do and for scoring points. And in reality, we have to help Minshew score points if we're going to win any games next year, if that's the goal. Love the pick, A-. Can't wait to see it. It wouldn't be a 6th round for the Jaguars draft room if they didn't take a quarterback, and at pick 189 they did that, picking Jake Luton, quarterback out of Oregon State. And I got to give this grade a C. Not that I don't like the guy, but 38 touchdowns to 7 interceptions is a very good ratio. However, he did take a lot of safe throws. They were in that pro-style offense at Oregon State where he really took the good throws and the safe throws, which something is going to be said for that. But he's a little raw as far as his quarterback skill and his arm strength and his accuracy. I love the fact that he's 6'6". I love the fact that we got him late in the draft. But for me, if I'm taking a scout team quarterback, I like to have a guy that has a little bit more mobility to kind of simulate some of these more mobile quarterbacks that we play against. Does he beat out Dobbs for the backup quarterback job? Does he land on the scout team? Does he land on a scout team somewhere else? I guess worst case scenario, he ends up being a Tanner Lee, and he's cut from the team, and no harm, no foul in the 6th round. I think you can still find some value there. Would have liked to see a little bit more there, but hey, we all probably said the same thing about Gardner Minshew last year, and look what happened. So I'd love to be proven wrong about a 6th round quarterback. Hoping the best for Jake. Overall, I really like what Caldwell did with this draft. I really like what he did in the early rounds. He took some project guys later. For me, this draft was all about 2021 and 2022. Nobody in this draft is really going to translate to wins next year, but building for the future, I think it's a great draft. Think if they trade Ngakoue for a 1st round pick in 2021, they potentially could have 3 picks in the 1st round next year. That could solve quarterback, tackle, and receiver issues if those do arise next season. Overall, I give this team a solid B+ for their draft. I like what they did, building for the future. Definitely in rebuild mode, but that's okay. Sometimes you got to go through those to win. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe and follow the YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date with all our film breakdowns coming up in the future on all of these players. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Jags.